Good evening, VV Nation, and welcome to the channel. My name is Glenn, Senior Stock Market Strategist for VectorVest, and what a day. Palantir, you know I'm a big player of Palantir, but we're going to look at the news, what happened, and then we're going to look at what you should be doing according to what VectorVest says. So the first thing is they were right in line with earnings at 13 cents, but they beat revenue and they had great growth. They had great growth, and they're still projecting to grow higher going into the next quarter. So what the flying flip happened? So let's talk about that. Palantir right here again, 13 cents, came in right in line as far as earnings is concerned, but they did beat revenue by 20 million, or right at 20 million. Look at that. So you sit back and you say to yourself, wow, what happened? We're going to talk about that in a second. What else reported yesterday? Big company Ford. Ford reported beat earnings and beat revenue. We're going to take a look at that as well. So now let's get into today. All right. Stocks that did report today, and a big stock that we're still waiting to report later tonight, which is going to be AMD. So we're going to take a look at AMD as well. Duke beat both earnings and revenue, and Marriott beat both earnings and revenue. So yes, I'm looking at the bigger name stocks that we do know of and talk about. There's a lot of other companies that did well. I'm going to go back to yesterday. Something else that caught my attention, the FANG stocks, the FANG ETF beat both earnings and revenue nicely. So does that mean that the FANG stocks are still moving? Well, we're going to keep our eyes on them, but they did beat as far as the ETF is concerned. Let's start off with Palantir. All right. Palantir raises 2025 revenue guidance to $3.89 billion amid 39% quarter one growth. Alex Karp says U.S. commercial and 45% growth in U.S. government business. Chief Revenue Officer, revenue growth 39% year over year, driven by 55% increase in U.S. revenue. Okay, the revenue is the big story. CFO announced the adjusted operating margin of 44%, driven by revenue growth. So the big news, the big story here when it comes down to Palantir is revenue. Revenue drives things, right? Money. All right, it's all about the money. So now I had to ask the question, why is Palantir stock dropping despite stellar earnings? What's next? So in here, despite strong earnings, Palantir's dropped over 9%. I'm looking at it right now as I own it. It's down over 13%, raising the questions about whether this is the beginning of the end for its bull market or just a temporary pause. So, temporary pause, I'm of the long-term view of it, but there's a couple of things that do concern me when it comes down to Palantir. One, I've seen it, there's a lot of insider trading. What is that telling you? Are people taking money out because they know something that we don't know? Budget cuts in the defense, because Palantir plays a big role in defense. That could affect Palantir going forward, even with its revenue growth. And the third big thing is that the stock we do know is way overvalued. Why is it overvalued? Because it's still on a lot of people's radar, driving the stock price higher because more people are getting into it. The value is still low. The intrinsic value of it is still low. Is that getting to be a problem when it comes down to Palantir? Again, we're going to take a look at it in the VectorVest software. Let's talk a little bit about Ford. Ford breaks resistance as Wall Street shrugs off the tariff toll, suspend the guidance. That's interesting. The guidance was suspended. After the close Monday, it reported a 5% drop in revenue from a year ago, decrease in profitability as its cash cow. The profitable Ford Pro segment experienced a 16% drop in revenue, but they still did beat earnings and revenue. The drop that Ford Pro reported concerns me the most. It indicates the segment had some troubles seeking out for blah, 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 blah. The results, though, beat expectations, but shares came under pressure late Monday on both the unexpectedly downbeat results from Ford Pro, along with the company putting a dollar amount on the toll from the U.S. Import tariffs. The uncertainty led Ford to pull its full-year guidance. Nobody likes to see that. It does happen from time to time, but that's an important thing. They did pull their full-year guidance. All right. Next company I'm looking at is Duke. They beat quarter one estimates on higher rates, power demand, power. I did a video on stocks that will benefit from power demand. If you haven't checked that out, please go check it out. Marriott beats top line and bottom line, initiates quarter two, and reaffirms the 2025 year outlook. Now, the stock that still has to report later today is going to be AMD. And a lot of the stories that I see out there saying that AMD is too cheap to ignore. The stock has been beaten up. A lot of stuff been going on. AI is under some pressure, even though it's not going anywhere. AMD later tonight, when it does report, is going to be a big mover for the market, just like Palantir was from last night. AMD could either continue to make the market pull down or listen, there's a lot that can go on, but I got to have that in the story. All right. Now, let's go over into the software. First thing I always want to start off with when I go into the software is what's going on from a market timing perspective. What have I been saying? Follow the trend. Look at that. With today's activity after Palantir's fall, look at the market. The over 9,000 stocks that we track are right here in the trend line, holding right there. What am I telling you? If you go to the home page, what's the predominant color you see? Yellow. Because of that, you're going to be cautious. And we've been saying that even as we've gotten all of these green lights in the color guard pricing column, caution is the main thing. Going back to the graphs, there we stand. So I'm going to tell you from a market timing perspective, be careful. The MTI is sitting right at 1. We finally got the underlying trend of the market to go up, and now it's pulled back to right at 1. Remember, though, RT never gave us the okay that the market was full-blown in the uptrend, even as it was moving higher. That indicator, RT, is such a smart indicator. All right, let's go look at my stocks that we were just taking a look at. AMD comes out later today. Duke, Marriott, Palantir, Ford, all beat. Again, Palantir came in with earnings right in line. Do I still own it? The answer to your question is yes. Even with the pullback at down 13%, I'm still up over 30% on the stock. Now, what does that mean for you? Before we look at all of the graphs, I'm going to start off with Palantir. What should you do with Palantir? Now, I saw a comment in the YouTube chat. Somebody said, I sold Palantir was a no-brainer. I'm not going to say that it was a no-brainer, but that was a good call on that part. Why did I say it was a good call? Because this happened. Leading up to earnings, look at that. There's the trend line. If you own it today and you're saying to yourself, what should I do? The stock broke through trend. I'm going to tell you, you probably take half or all of it off the table. That's an honest assessment. You still should, depending on when you gotten in, you probably should still have a profit in place. Or if you don't, you're going to take a minimal loss. Trend has been broken. I do love that the earnings per share, earnings growth, and I said that I think that they were going to beat both top and bottom. It was the guidance that I was worried about. The guidance is still in play, but I think, again, looking at some of the things that are going to affect it, being way overvalued, possible defense cuts, which will affect Palantir, insider trading, those are things that I'm looking at that affect it. Right now, long term, I still like it long term. But for those of you who are maybe still new to the stock, I'm telling you from a VectorVest perspective, RT, where's RT? I think RT is still above 1. That's fine. But looking at the graph, I'm going to tell you either take half off or take all of it off. All right? So that's from a VectorVest perspective. Let's look at the other three. 1, 2, 3. Look at those graphs real quick. All of these stocks beat. All of these stocks beat. Nice uptrend on Duke. I got headwinds sitting here at about 125.27. That's a 3-month resistance level. Still love the earnings growth, all of those things. Nice open candle today after earnings. Very little wick at the top. Next one is looking at Marriott. Still in an uptrend, but a closed candle, which means that the price is lower than the open. That's a bearish sign. It's still a green candle because it's higher than the prior day's close, but watch it. Keep your eyes on it. Trade the trend. All right, if nothing else, looking at all of these graphs, trade the trend. And the last one is Ford. Nice move. Broke through a level of resistance here on a 3-month graph. Little wick at the top of the candle, though. Little bit of give back. We're now probably going to test this level of resistance as a current level of support. Watch the earnings per share. It's starting to fall, and the earnings growth is falling, even though they beat both on earnings and on revenue. I think that if it falls below this level of support, you probably take half off the table. Nice move up, though. Probably going to pocket some profit. Now, last stock, AMD. Has to report later on this afternoon. Again, a lot of news out there says that the stock is cheap. It is undervalued. trading at $99 with a value of 131. That's a positive sign. Fundamentally sound, relative value, relative safety above 1, RT above 1, but barely, VST above 1 as well, and a hold recommendation. Now, again, this is going into earnings this evening after the bell. I do see the uptrend on the stock, all right? Falling earnings per share, falling earnings growth. Now, you have to ask yourself, is AMD truly too low in price to ignore? 6-month graph, look at that. 1-year graph, look at that. The stock overall has gotten beat like a rented mule, but I do like the up move. I'm not sure if they beat both top and bottom. We'll have to see, but I am seeing the rising earnings per share even falling, earnings growth falling, sales, which is, the fuel behind the engine, is rising. They're selling stuff still. Is it enough to be able to beat both top and bottom and have good guidance going into the next quarter? That's going to be the big question. So, folks, these are the stocks, the aftermath of the earnings, and we all know that AMD is coming up. We'll see what happens with it. I think that this stock has been beaten up. At a certain point, though, you got to say to yourself, how low can you go? And if those stories are right, maybe this is as low. Has it really bottomed out here on the 1-year graph and really starting to move? But look at this. Last time it did that before it fell. Is it going to be able to sustain and keep moving up? We'll see. It's going to be the forward guidance that's going to be the big picture. So if you like this video, hit the like button. Listen, I'm going to own it about Palantir. If I could talk all about the good, I will. But this is not so good. And I wasn't afraid to come online and talk to you about it. And hopefully you respected that and got some guidance out of that as well. If you're brand new to the channel, though, I invite you to hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, so that you'll be updated when things like this come out. Now, this is going to be after the fact, of course, and I want to see how many of you are going to be truthful. How many of you expected the Palantir stock to go down as much as it did today? All right? Just type the words either up or down. All right? How many, if you thought it was going to go down, like I think Lou thought it was going to go down. If you thought it was going to go down, type the word down. If you thought that it was going to go up like me, type the word up. Folks, this video is over. And until the next time, see ya.